specifically this relationship between A Train and Annie January or Starlight. And this is quietly one of the most interesting relationships in the show for a lot of reasons. Um, Mainly because of how they start off and how they end this. And, recently, obviously, spoiler alert, A Train is dead, right? Killed at the hands of Homelander. So none of us are surprised by that. But A Train, personally, I felt like had one of the best story arcs in the series, right? To go from how he started off, his first scene was a scene where he kills Robin, right? And his final scene being him standing up to Homelander. So that says a lot about his character arc just in general, right? So within that, A Train grew a lot. And then we also see Annie or Starlight, who also has this pretty incredible character arc. She comes in as this ultimately the innocent girl, immediately gets just like defiled by what the Seven are, by what Vought is, and comes out of this, emerges out of this as the most significant threat. Although it doesn't seem like it, she represents the most significant pushback to Homelander. And A Train, so they were on different arcs coming into it. A Train was like, you go along to get along. She couldn't. I mean, I guess when you got the deep sticking this crank in your face, like right off the bat, it really changes the dynamic. And A Train, I don't know, it was more of a slow erasure of, losing what he was. But, we see by the end of this is their last, I believe this is their last scene together. This would be the last time A Train and Annie would be on the screen together, and it's just him talking about them two talking about the alliance, or this rebellion that's going on. I think it's important that they're both in just their civvies, because now they're just relating as people. They're not relating as Starlight and A Train anymore. I don't even know what A Train's real name is, but she's coming at him as just Annie standing up against Homelander. And then I think the most significant thing for A Train is that at the end of it, he found out that being afraid of Homelander wasn't even worth it. He even kind of says it. I spent all my time being afraid of this guy when this guy wasn't even worth ultimately being afraid of. And what I really picked out about this, and I always try to look for parallel type relationships, and what they kind of remind me of, honestly, this will be a pairing that will make sense to you guys. They remind me of these two here, right? Oh man, let me see if I can pull this one up here. They remind me of Leia. They remind me of Leia and Lando Calrissian. To be really honest, let me see if I can find an image of these two guys here together. I thought I had one for you guys, but it didn't work out. All right, let me see if this will come up here. And I think we will get one. Okay. This is kind of the relationship that it reminds me of in the beginning. Remember, Lando is the smooth, confident guy. Leia is the one a lot more grounded in the rebellion herself. And she doesn't like Lando from the beginning. And she kind of senses in him what's there, that he's not the hero that she's supposed to be. And he sees in her what he should be. But by the end of this story, as this progresses, we see them become really close because they're bound by their love for Han and his old friend, and of course the man who would be her most significant romance and her husband at some point, right? So this is kind of what I get when I look at these two here. Annie January and A Train is a significant character arc, and both of them, while they're both moving to their arc, we see them connecting from time to time. He knows everything. He knows a lot of stuff that she's done. She knows what he does, and that kind of, they were held in place by this mutual destruction initially, but it doesn't go away. And as he starts to kind of have this awakening, especially after his brother starts to reject him more, he really goes away from life. Now, A Train, to me, man, he's probably the most irredeemable character. I mean, in the sense that he's not really redeemable. And I don't think that's what they give him. I don't think he gets there even after that. After Robin's death, Robin's death was a big blow. But obviously, I never forgave him for Popclaw. but that's just kind of who the character is. And seeing them go through this together was really formative for the channel. Now, where this ends up in terms of how this ends up for Annie, we know how it's going to end for A Train. But how this ends up for Annie, like this is an important because this completes their arc and how people handle. Like you both enter this thing that is fought, and they went on completely different paths to end up coming back to the same point, and that which really kind of shows that there's no constructive way to really deal with Homelander. You just gotta be upfront with him. Like, is it better to live under his boot heel all that time, or better just stand up and be like, yeah, I'm coming for you too. So just wanted to give my thoughts on A Train and Annie. And I'll be back later on today for a Myth Lab, probably in the later afternoon. But definitely check out the rest of the channel. I got some new stuff coming up today. And give me your thoughts on the boys, especially on